Hello, hi Bami. See you. Hi Debbie. Hi Ocha. Can everyone hear me right? Hello, it's no. Yeah.
Okay,
All right. Hi Shay. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you, and it's good to be here.
Yeah, good to see you. What?
I said I hope that you're
Yeah,
fine.
yeah, I'm good. I'm good. Thank you. How about you?
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Yeah.
And this is going to be good, but first of all, I would just like to say thank you to everyone on this call, and just to also note that I might be off and on. I mean, my video, I'm currently under the weather, so it means that I might not be able to show my face at some point. You could see me with this, but then at some point I would go off the camera
Yeah.
so to speak to you. Overall, this is going to be a great one, and I know that it's going to be nice. So good to see you. How are you doing? I think we should start on that note, and I see our guests as well.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I'm glad you're able to join, despite the
You.
fact that you're a little bit under the weather. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Thank you to everyone who has joined with of this. I'd say that welcome to the book chat for today. And it's going to be nice reading. I'm sure you want to know, oh, what is it that we're talking about today, or what is it that we have for you that we're going to talk about. Well, for the collection of poems that we're going to be having a book chat about is Whispers of Love. And you're thinking, oh, what's it about? Maybe you've not seen the book. And maybe for some people who have had access to the book, or you have access to the book and you're still here, well, I think that this conversation is going to let you know more about this collection of poems, why it was written, inspiration around it, or what are your questions, and what exactly do you have. Today, I'd like to introduce the author of this book because I mean, if we don't have someone who has written a book, we would not be doing a book chat, right? So that's why this is important. And then I'd like to start by introducing the author of the book. I'm sure you can see him. This call, let's call it call most of the times when I'm on the camera. Yeah. So
Yeah.
introduce the author, and I would also introduce our guest get into. Again, apologies, I'm not at my best this evening or even in Nigeria because I'm feeling so good, but I'm sure that you still feel the energy in between all of this. I don't necessarily have to jump, but I know that it will be fine. So about the author, Joseph Adewuyi is a writer. He's a poet, author, obviously, and a seasoned inspirational speaker, and the founder of I4U Consultancy Service, which is a leadership, mentorship, counseling, and motivational platform for young people. He has a passion to lead and to inspire young people into life, fulfilling their purpose at a very young age. Beyond that, Joseph recently a PhD in chemistry. I'm sure it's like, oh my God, I mean, how much time does he have? I thought I just got his PhD in chemistry and then he's writing a collection of poems. I mean, not the regular kind of, academic books and all that. When I got to know about this book, it was, I think, one of the first questions I asked. And I was like, oh, so people who are in academics have to spend so much time to actually write, I mean, to write poems. But I mean, you would find out how he
Yeah.
has that time and how he is able to, to do all of this as we do. And we also have our guest, Itunoluwa Deshola, creating and very versatile individual with passion for poetry, fashion design, and music. Currently, she is serving as head of the Nigerian National Youth Service Corps, that's NYSC, and she has a strong affinity for teaching and engaging teenagers. Additionally, she is developing in project management and is committed to continuously learning and professional growth. So yes, I have been able to introduce her and our author, I mean, and then get the we'll go right into it and what we have for today. Remember that you can also ask your question. You could drop a question for the author, for the guest as well. If you're just joining us, welcome to the book chat on Whispers of Love, which is written by Joseph Adewuyi. And it's going to be a great time, like I mentioned earlier. So we'll just get into it. If you have any question at any point in time, please just if you have comments. Those who are online, you could just drop hi, hello, or you're part of it, so we know that or you could just wave so we know that you're also part of this and you're enjoying that. First off, I'd like to say that the author should, if you could read one of the poems to us, I think that's a good way to start.
Well, I
Before
can
I get
start
to
by reading a poem. I mean, yeah,
we
I
are,
can do that.
yes, we'd like to start with that. If you
Okay.
could just go read the poem to us.
Okay.
Thank you.
Right. Yeah. First off, thank you for the introduction. That was so nice. About timing. Well, I mean, I have a very busy schedule, as you can imagine. But there's something I always say: you create time for what you love. You create time for what you're passionate about. And so, in the midst of my busy schedule as a researcher, amongst the many other things I do, I still try to create time for writing because that's like the passion, and it's a way for me to mentor people. So, yep, if you love something, you're gonna create time for it, even if you have to stay late hours. But yeah, so talking about reading a poem, I think the poem I'm gonna read Ask About the Scars. So, my poem collection, which is titled Whispers of Love, we're discussing today, has like different segments, and the chapter one is talking about encouragement, basically. And so, yeah, I'm just going to read the one that talks about ask about the scars. I probably wouldn't read everything, just read maybe um, a few lines just as a teaser, and then get the book, you get the rest. All right, so I'm going to read it. Arise and shine, I arose to shine, rising from the limitations of my society. The call is to the throne, the way is the way of thorns. For though the fruit is sweet, the cost is my sweat. Don't just admire my fruit. Ask me how I sowed the seeds, watered with tears, as I uprooted the weeds, the toiling that produced the flowers, the toils of many nights. The stars are a testament of my scars. Ask about the scars, the lonely paths I walked to the top, the sores on my feet, You only see the open doors, but not the thousand rejections that brought me here, the hate that led me to love, the death that led to life, the tears that brought the medals, the dark clouds that made the stars visible, the pleasures I gave up so as to gain what I have. The tattoo has a scar underneath it. So I'm just going to stop there. There's a third and a fourth stanza, but I just read two stanzas.
Oh, great. Thank you so much for reading that. I mean, even from reading this, I'm sure to everyone who is part of this, you're really interested in what we have. It was such a beautiful read that, oh my God, you just be thinking, oh, this is really nice. I mean, that's why you should have a copy of the collected poem so you get to read more. But maybe you would still read more for us because I feel like, there's a way for people when, it's read. And then not to even say, oh, it's right for the person who wrote it himself. So you know the kind of feelings and emotion that goes into that when
Right.
it's been read. Yes. So I will still just before I get to I still like you to answer one question. I mean, you have written other books. This is not your first book.
Yeah.
Um, Collection of poem you've written. And this collection has 5 chapters.
Right.
So you have other books. I'd like to know how did you begin writing, and at what point did you conceive the idea to publish writings, as a book, knowing that you have always almost been engaged with other things as well, just like I mentioned earlier. You had also mentioned. So at what point did you? I mean, there are some of us who write, but we
Yeah.
publish also, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, so yeah, thank you for the question. I started writing a long time ago, like from my high school days, I would say. I discovered I have a passion for writing like from early on. But then I just wrote for the fun of it, right? Because like as far back as the high school days, I would just pick a topic of interest and write an essay on it and say like, I don't know, the standard of Nigerian education then is like write 200 to 500 words, like 400 words. And so I just use that as a template. I would write an essay on a particular topic of interest and I just archive it. I don't do anything with it. I just write and keep. It's just for me, I was fulfilled just by expressing my passion in writing. And so I was just writing on different topics, social issues, religious issues, political issues, words of encouragement also, just anything, even short stories like stories for kids, just anything that interests me, I would just write on them. But then something happened in 2018. So in 2018, I had a very rough year. It was I highlighted some of that in my previous books. It was a very difficult year for me, and I went through a lot of challenges and rejections and tears and pains. And in the midst of all of that, I would say I built a wealth of experience and wisdom on how you can go through challenges and overcome them. So fast forward in the midst of all of that pain, I think God also began to bring people to me. So I began to encounter people who are going through challenges. And then with my own experience, I would encourage them and they would feel better and they would be like, oh, that was so soothing. And I just found that when I talk to people, they listen to me. When I talk to people, they benefit from what I said. And so I'm like, yeah, I can't just do this one on one. If I really want to reach a bigger impact, I should convert my experiences into books. And so since I already had a flair for writing from like when I was a teenager, I just then began to write my experiences and use them to encourage people. And so that was what gave birth to my first book in 2019.
Oh wow. Thank you so much for sharing that, and thank you for, I mean, taking us through that journey of um, how you started writing and how that you started publishing. Sometimes they say that our experiences or the things that we get to go through pushes us into or to become better people or even to impact others, right? Maybe if there wasn't that phase of 2018 in your life, you would still be writing. I mean,
Yeah, I'll
maybe
just be
not.
writing for fun, I guess. I'll still be writing,
Yeah,
but just
maybe
for fun.
but
Yeah,
then you saw the need to, to just take it beyond, just writing and sharing your gifts with the world. Because I mean, I know that but I mean, what I'm trying to say is that the impact that when people have their books published, it means that it's going to reach wider audience. It's not just for you, and I mean it's personal writings. Meanwhile, for some people, it's just that you have a collection of poems and it's just there in your room, only you're reading it, and all nobody
right.
gets to know. But
Yeah,
it's more impactful, when the world gets to see it, when there are a lot of people who are getting to learn from your story, from your experiences. So thank you so much for sharing that. So I'm moving next to guest. The first question that I have for you today, knowing that you have read through this collection of poems, and I'm sure that you enjoyed it while you were reading, right? And to everyone who is on this call, thank you so much for joining us for this book chat. If you have any question at all, please feel free to drop a comment, or there's something that you want to let us know. Just feel free to drop any comments or so. Yes, we would be right there too. Earlier, I had mentioned the number of chapters in this collection form. I hope that you got it. So let's just see who is able to get it earlier. So if you still remember what I said, please feel free to drop it in the comment. I won't know, you might get a gift for knowing it. So yes, to um you it's to know so the question that I have for you, saying that you have gone through this collection of poems, what drew you to this collection of poems, and how did they resonate with you as a person?
Okay, once again, thank you so much for this call. Um, First of all, I was drawn to this poem because the author is someone I greatly admire, and then he's a mentor. So I just couldn't wait to read any of his books. I've followed over time the books he has released from the very first one till this present. I've always anticipated a leader and then a good mentor. So as a poetry enthusiast myself, I was so excited about these particular collections of poems because I felt, yeah, this is somebody that has good experience and really talk to people and then they get connected to him. So I look forward to it. So the very first, the poem that resonated with me the most is Hope, the poem titled Hope. Not because it's the very first poem, but because it rings a bell whenever I go through the lines. I think I've read that particular poem a couple of times. And then that book, Hope, just gave me a picture of young people, in fact, human beings in general. We all have hopes, positive hopes about ourselves. We grew up with this mindset that yeah, I want something good to happen to me. We have a picture that we want in our lives. We grow up with the mindset that yeah, this is what I want to be, this is who I want to become. So even a 1 year old has hope for good things, positive things. So beyond that, the author has found a way to make us understand life may not happen the way we arrange it. Life may not happen to us the way we fantasize it. Um, Maybe to young people, we are just starting life or we are in the midst of it already. There are changes that can happen. And to the people that are ahead of us already, they've gone through life and they have seen things that they didn't plan or expect. So personally speaking, I see the authors telling us his own story of how he grew up to become like this. He grew up as a person that had hopes as well, but along the line, a lot of things happened. There were moments of pains, tears, disappointment, and rejection. But one very line that struck me the most is even against hope, I will hope. Meaning, even when things don't go the way we want it, we should still hope. Hope never fails. I really love that line a lot. Hope never fails. It never fails. Whether you're young or you're old, it never fails. It may not just be the way you want it, but it never fails. Even if the journey is rough, there's still a way that your hope will come to life as long as you do it the right way. As long as you keep your head on, you keep hoping even against hope. So that's just it from me. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Utsuno. I feel sorry for those who have not read the collection of poems. You know why? The way you were just saying it, this were like I have seen it, so I'm like, okay, I don't feel bad because I mean I've seen it, but for others who are yet to, this is like, oh my God, I should have access to this. That's what you're thinking, yes, I know, right? Towards the end, the author will get to tell you how you can have a copy of the collection of poems. But thank you so much for sharing that. Those are very powerful lines, and I agree with you that that particular poem is such one that it just makes you keep looking for something. I mean, mention that life might not go the way that we want it to go, right? But this is something that keeps us going. There's something we're hoping for, um, and then it's truly powerful. And those are very powerful lines from the author. I mean, from the poet. And thank you for sharing your experience with that particular poem. I mean, it's really, really, really powerful. Thank you for sharing that. And thank you to everyone who is part of this. I saw earlier that Debbie, trying to put this on, and I hope that I get it correctly. I don't know if it's Debbie, if I get that other name correctly. I saw that you wrote 5 chapters, and that's actually very correct. So we get back to that. And thank you. So I'm also going to ask the author, a question. You had answered something, close to that. So now I'm putting like 2 questions together. If you could briefly tell us about your previously published books, that's before you published Whispers of Love. And also, if you could, tell us what inspired you to compile your poems into this collection. I mean, what is that thing that inspired you to compile and to just have this collection? I know you're just releasing them, or that, but then you having a collection of it. Thank you.
Right. Thank you for the question. So, yeah, I'll start by saying that first of all, my writings are a way to mentor the young people. So, part of my purpose is to lead, mentor, and inspire young people. And one of the ways I do that is through my writings. So, the first book I said came in 2019. That was titled "Take Your Revenge on Failure," and this is like a copy of the book. A lot of people probably have read the book. And so that was birthed out of like the pains I went through in the year 2018, like the failures, the rejection, the tears. So in the book, I explained how that, yeah, as you go through life, I mean, it's almost inevitable. You're going to face some kind of challenges or failure. But I explained how that should not discourage and instead give people a new perspective of seeing failure as a process in the equation of success, not necessarily seeing failure as the opposite of success, but the fact that you're failing means you're actually doing something. If you're not facing challenges, it means you're doing nothing good. But if you're doing something good, you're going to face some kind of resistance that may come in the form of challenges and failures. But then, if you keep at it, if you find truth to be able to overcome them, you would eventually get the success you want. So, there I just explain how I just try to demystify failure and then explain how you can overcome failure. And so I then moved on. In 2020, I published another book called The Unstoppable Man. And this is a copy of that. And that's just talking about perseverance, right? So now you've gone through failures, you overcome. But in life, you still need to keep pushing, right? There are times you're going to face situations where if you're going to knock on that door the first time, it's not going to open, right? So you need to like persevere through situations that you're facing through a challenge. Um, does not mean you should just give up. So in that, I explain how perseverance, resilience is an important ingredient in the journey of every man, and how if you're able to persevere through situations, whatever the situation is, you would always. So I said unstoppable man is like if you have perseverance, you're going to live in a realm of unstoppability because at that point, nothing can stand before you that would not be overcome with your perseverance, right? And so now I've written all of these books, and they're like really good, inspiring books that teach people to push for success. By the way, even though I use personal experiences in my books, more I'm teaching on like principles, right? The personal experiences just give you like a face or a reference point that you can see a human experience. You can see these are not just like robotic teachers. You can see that humans, in this case, the author himself has felt some of these things that you're probably feeling right now. But in all, I'm teaching like principles that have been tested for like generations. So it's just using my own experience. But so, anyways, so in 2021, I then had to write a new book, which is called Beyond Success to Significance. Because at that point, I just wanted to give a right perspective and mindset to success, right? So I was teaching about taking your revenge on failure, pushing through with perseverance. All of this would give you success. But then when you get the success, you need a right perspective, else you're going to abuse it. And a lot of people abuse success and the privileges they have. So there I was trying to explain that the purpose of life is to live a life of purpose. That when you get all of this success and wealth and fame, you should understand that it's beyond you. It's more how you're then able to use those privileges and opportunities to be a blessing to humanity. So I'm saying that, yeah, take your revenge on failure, push through circumstances, get the success, right? But then understand that it's beyond you. There is more to life. It's just teaching like giving back to society, giving back to humanity. Make sure that your life is blessing someone and you're not just accumulating wealth and success and titles. I mean, to the glory of God, I have the records are there, successful to a reasonable level, but I don't put all of that in my head. When I'm relating with people, I see it from a perspective of how can I bless this person? How can my life be a blessing to someone? And so that's how I came to write about Beyond Success to Significance. And then in Whispers of Love, I decided to do something different. I'm like, yeah, I've been writing inspirational books. Let's do something different. And so since I already had like poems that I'd been writing, so compile I decided to compile those poems into a collection. But then the aim is still the same, right? My books are a mentorship platform. And so even though I'm not writing like a motivational book, it's a poem, the central themes of the poems are still aligned in such that when someone read it, they're going to be mentored to be inspired, to get encouraged. Just the things that I teach in my previous books, just in this case, through poetic writers.
Wow. Thank you so much for sharing that, and particularly thank you for choosing to be a blessing to others. I mean, this is like you need to tell us how the they're really powerful. It's just
Yeah,
in my head. They're very catchy as well.
yeah,
Can almost not hear the title and not want to, have a copy or know what this is about. And I mean, just like it should be, titles should be very, catchy so people want to read the book. But again, the the title of all of the books that I've written are very great. So even from the title, it's just something that makes people want to read it. And thank you for taking us through, the journey of the books that you have written into this collection that we're talking about today. And well done for all that you do, really. I mean, it's good to know it's inspiring and it's really, really, really good. And again, you kept saying, which is just something to note that, oh, you just want to ensure that your life is blessing other people, and you just kept mentioning young people or younger people. And I also have a bias for that because I feel like we must invest in people and younger generation. It's something that I talk about every single day of my life. So, I mean,
right.
it's good to know that. Thank you so much for all that you do. I'll move on to you. And I'm going to ask you two questions like almost together. Um, while you answered your first question, I would assume, but maybe let me not assume, that the poem that you talked about earlier is that particular poem that stood out for you the most. You were able to tell us why, right? And but then if there's another one, feel free to share. And then the second question, the second question is how do you use of language and maybe impact your reading experience? What was it like for you? You know that when you pick those also the language, imagery, and all that things that make me stay on that particular book. So how did the author use language and imagery, impact your reading experience? Yeah.
Okay, thank you. So the reader's experience or my personal experience while reading the book was quite easy because the author's use of language and imagery was so simple that for someone with a basic learner's knowledge of English would be able to read and understand. So it's a book anyone can pick up as long as you can read and write. So it's very easy for you to read and understand. And then with the use of imagery, we can see that throughout the entire poems. All the poems, you made use of vivid pictures that will make somebody to feel in the picture. You can actually feel yourself while reading it. You can actually see yourself. If you are going through a particular situation, you can actually picture yourself while reading through the lines. So let's take, for example, Beyond the Scars. Tell me about this. Sorry. There's this particular image of a inclusive verse, a particular picture that was on one of the pages. That particular verse, it's a Japanese tradition of making broken pots. When you make when you use a gold to design broken pieces of a pot, a vase. So it gives us a picture of, yeah, not everything we see that glitters came out like that. Some things have scars, some things were broken and mended before become their final version. So you can see those kind of things. And in the pages, you can even see flowers, petals. Almost all the poems, you see images that introduces them and then gives you an idea of what it is. When we go to Whispers of Love, you see in some poems, you can see the sign of the cross that it directly tells us that, yeah, we are talking about Christ here. So the image gives us a picture, and then the author made use of some words like tears, hunger, pain, rejection. You can actually feel the author's heart while writing. You can see that this is not something that was formed or something that was just picked out of nowhere. You can actually feel the emotion behind every line of every poem. So the author has really showed us his creativity, his level of creativity by using some words that is compelling and makes us feel a sense of belonging while reading the poem.
Oh well, thank you so much for sharing that. I mean, that's really great. Thank you very much for sharing. And to everyone who is part of this conversation, I see you and I see your comments as well. Keep them coming. Thank you very much for dropping your comments. If you have any question, please feel free. If you have any question for the author, please feel free to drop your question. If you also have a question for the guest, feel free to drop your question. Or it's just a comment that you have as well. Feel free to drop your comments in the comment section. We would be glad to read from you. And if you're still here, please let us know. You could just drop hi, hello in the comments so that we know that you're a part of this conversation. Thank you. And just before we take the next question, I'd like to take the I mean the author and the guest. So for the author, you're talking about your collection of poems and all that. I'm sure there's something about you that the world does not know. It would be our honor to know on this conversation. There's something about you that maybe we don't know. We can't find it in your book, and it would just be good to know. So yeah, fun fact about you.
Really? I mean, yeah, I'm not going to do it about me. I'm going to do about the poem. So,
Okay, sure.
since we're discussing about the book, anyways, so the book has
Okay.
five chapters, like you rightly said. The chapter one had a title of words of encouragement, and I knew that was going to strike a lot of people because that's the aim. It's just giving encouragement to people. But then the chapter two is a very interesting one. The chapter two is talking about romantic love, and there are a lot of poems there talking about romantic love. And I know, so this is the fun fact now, how it relates to me. A lot of people do not see me in that light. A lot of people see me as this very serious, focused. And of course, I'm serious and focused, but they wouldn't think out is probably someone who is romantic. So all of those poems are poems written personally by me, of course, to someone special. So they were actually poems I was writing to my girlfriend. And so, yeah, they were not just like written from my head, they were actually flowing from my heart, just emotions flowing from my heart. So that's the
Interesting.
cool part. I feel a lot of people don't know. It's good to
Wow,
know.
that's
The
fun.
seven is flesh and blood with emotions and not just success focused.
Oh, nice. Interesting. Oh God, love. I mean, I think that was one of the questions I asked when I got the book
Yeah,
because I really
yeah,
wanted to understand. I mean, how that came about. I mean, beautiful. It's good to hear love stories.
yeah.
I would have asked for more, but I
No,
just have
let's
to be
just leave it
super.
that way. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. And so
Yeah,
to you, guest, I also have a question for you. And it would be, I mean, you could, yeah, a fun fact too. What came to your mind? I mean, while reading through any poem, something that you have not mentioned today. I mean, what was it that you were thinking about? Share with us. Thank you.
Um, okay. Fun fact about the book. Um, there's actually a swan story in the book.
yeah.
So I don't know if anybody that's read that book actually find that part good. But that particular swan story captivates me a lot. I wish the author could actually just write about the swan, like just pick that part because I love swan. Like I've never seen them, but in cartoons actually, I love cartoons. So when I saw it, I was so drawn to that poem, and I was like, wow. So nature can be lonely at the same time, find fulfillment in their mate. So something like that, I really love that part. So.
Oh, okay. Thank you so much for sharing that. Beautiful. And again, to everyone who has not read this, I mean, here is your reminder to just get a copy of this collection of poems after this so that you can understand what is it that we're saying here or be on the same page with us because it's a very once you sit down to read, I assure you that you might not want to stop. You will just keep reading and going. I'm a very people person, right? I do a number of things. But when I got this book, I didn't know I was just flipping through. I mean, I was just scrolling through until I was able to read a number of poems. I had other things to do. I mean, I left my work to read the poems. So you need to also do that. It's very important for you to do it. So yes, back to you, the author. I have some questions for you. You have answered, questions related to that. So I'll take you like two questions in one, and if you could share a creative process, well, right, and how you selected the team's topics. You know, I said that your topics are very powerful, really. And maybe you could just take creative process, you know, how you're able to do that. And also, do you think an experience, which I think you've answered the question because you talked about your experience in 2018 and how that But then, do you think your background and experiences influence the message and themes in your poems? Yes.
Okay, so the first question, the creative process in writing, right? So um, I think I have like basic central themes that I have interest in, like an encouragement to people. That's like for sure you can see that. That's my main life goal. Also like social issues, religious issues. So these are like the central themes that I have interest in, education also. So when something maybe like I get an inspiration and then we can actually talk about like my source of inspiration. But let's say I get an inspiration about a topic, like a central theme, I'm like, oh yeah, I want to write concerning this. I just like have that thoughts and discussion going on in my mind. I will need to write for like some hours, sometimes even days, just making sure the thoughts crystallize well in my mind. And once I'm sure I have my thoughts, then I begin to put pen to paper. Right? Sometimes I have the thoughts clear and I could write a poem as a go. Sometimes they are not so clear. It's just hazy here and there. But that doesn't stop me. I just keep writing any idea I have. I jot it down, and then over time, it becomes like the full poem. I revisit, make corrections if I need to. And there are times when you have a very good topic you want to write on, but you know, I'm not as knowledgeable on that topic as I think I should. So I then also like make research, read up on the topic, and then that gives me like ideas also on like how to like write more on that topic until it becomes a poem. So yeah, that's the question about like the creative process. Sometimes it's as instant as you just see something that inspires you, the words flow, you write them. Sometimes it takes time, but you're thinking about it, writing bit by bit, line up. So that's about like how I write. In terms
Oh,
of picking the topic, right? Yeah, so I have a central theme and I write about the theme. For me, and for others, it's the opposite. But for me, the topic is the last thing I decide on. I have the theme and write on the theme. And then when I'm done writing, I try to pick, like you said, my topics are like catchy. I try to pick a topic that's going to make you want to read what I'm writing. Either it's the topic of the poem or the topic of the entire book. So that process in itself is another days of thinking and just ruminating and being like, what's the best caption for these words? What would want people to want to read my book? Because like you could write a good book, a good poem. If the topic is not as interesting, people are just gonna be like, yeah, like write it. Yeah, they're just gonna be like, yeah, I don't really have interest in this. So yeah, the last thing I do is the topic, and that takes time and months of thinking to make sure the topic is interesting and captivating. What's the second question? Sorry.
okay, so my second question is if your background and
Oh
experiences,
yeah. Okay. Yeah. 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 So yeah, definitely. My background and personal experiences, I be inspiration to all of my writers. Right. So because like the major thing I write about is just encouraging people, and that's because I've been in a place of pain and rejection. Itunu was saying that in my poems, I was not ashamed to write things like tears, scars, hunger, lack, disappointment, because these are things that I have identified with in the past, right? So I've had those experiences, and then I've seen how I was able to overcome the experiences to be in where I am today. So those experiences, when I write, I try to put myself again in those emotions, try to feel those things I was feeling back then, and then also create the end product. So my poems, my writings are always a journey. There's the journey where you start from being in a not so good situation, you pass through maybe some challenges, but then I show you how you can overcome those challenges. And then there's always the ending part, which is good, which gives hope to people. You don't just talk about encouragement without people seeing that, without people seeing the other side of pain, right? So, though I start with pain, I take people through that journey until they see the other side of pain, which is probably what I'm experiencing now. So, it's like I'm usually putting myself in two emotions, emotions of when I was going through difficulties and challenges challenges and emotions of where I am at this moment, and then just write a compelling story that will take people through that journey. So you're encouraged. You can see. So as you read it, you can be at different stages. You can be at the stage I was, and then you see that there's a future that is better, or you can be at the stage I am right now, which you're probably in the good times, but it just makes you reminiscence on like the past times, what brought you to this current stage. And a lot of times I try to make people appreciate the value of the pain and the sacrifices that brought them to where they are. Right? Don't just be like, oh, I'm successful, I'm great. Appreciate the process that brought you here. Sometimes it was a lot of sacrifice and pain, and appreciate that, and also use that. I also encourage people to share their stories, right? That's what, like, Ask About the Scars is saying. Use your stories to encourage people. There are a lot of people facing down times and discouragement. So when they see you, tell them, oh, I didn't just wake up to be who I am today. There was a journey, right? So take them through that journey. And basically, that's how my own personal experiences influence my writings. So they do to a large extent.
Oh, thank you so much for sharing. That's really powerful. Thank you very much for sharing that. We have some questions for you in the comments, but I will get them after taking our guests. So Adebinkwe and Timmy, if I get that correctly, I see your questions and I'll get the author to answer them in few minutes. So the next thing is for you, the guest, I have also a two-in-one question for you. And I mean, while reading through this poem, any of the poem invokes strong emotions or memories for you? I'm sure the answer is yes. So, would like you to share, that particular part of it. Then the second question for you is, collection inspire you to think differently or take action in your own life?
Okay, thank you. For the very first question, the clarion call, I would say, evoked strong emotions and memories for me. The very first two lines, which says, like a white fowl under the scorching sun, I marched um, from oh my God. I marched and stood from dusk to dawn. For someone still in the NYSC scheme, I I truly feel it. Like as I just read through the first two lines, I remember the camping days, that 3 weeks of camping. It was the longest 3 weeks of my life. So I could actually relate with every single line. Having to stay in camp, just to be there, you wake up very early, have to go through so many uncomfortable situations, things I've not been used to. You'll be woken from your sleep. You have so many people to talk to, people from different backgrounds, so many things, uncomfortable situations. So I could actually relate. And then for the second part of that poem, it's good to see that the author made mention of their stipend as at that time as a motivation. And I was like, wow, okay, still in this country. I was like, okay, it's good to know that, yeah, there has been good times, and I'm hoping there will be better times too. Better days are coming. It's actually good to see people that have gone through the same process you're going through. So when I read that particular I was like, yeah, for somebody to have scaled through this particular time, I feel I can also do it. Going through the classroom, the ruggedness of it. Every Thursday, we are always on the rugged part of it. So I can actually relate. And for the second part of the question, what inspired me? Like I said earlier, it's good to see someone that's gone through a particular situation a young person is going through currently. So I was inspired and I've been inspired that for the author to have gone through this same process, live and direct, like he went through this same scheme that I'm into right now. It means I can actually do it. I can scale through it and I can become a better version of myself. Um, and there's one particular thing I would like to say. There are so many young people out there that didn't have the right influences around them while growing up, and then they've been misinformed, or they've seen so many things that misled them into who they are currently. But seeing people that come out, show their vulnerability, and tell us their story, it actually rewrites so many wrongs, and then it gives us a good perspective about life. On social media these days, we only see great people, and then just tend to flow with the trend. Yeah, there are many great people. We want to be great, but what's the particular path they followed before getting there? So many young people don't know. And then seeing someone like the author writing his story, telling us the pain, the process, the hunger, the rejections, it means then we can also go through it, even in the midst of our actually a power that can help us. He made mention of God, which showcases his own personal faith, and it ministers hope that yes, beyond your human ability, there's a God that can help. There's a God that can see you through. Beyond what you can do for yourself. Beyond that process, there's a God that can do much more you can ever think of. That's why I will always love that poem, Hope. It never fails. It never fails. It never disappoints. Thank you.
Wow, thank you so much for sharing that. I mean, really, really, really powerful. Um, to know, you speak like you went through like everything. I mean, back to back. But thank you so much for sharing that. So, I'd like you to take some questions that we have. See, the first one is from Adebimpe, and it says, "How does one become a good writer?" And the second question is from Timmy Great, and it says that, "How do we encourage another person who feels so battered by life experiences and is reluctant to read books? How do we encourage such a person?"
Okay.
So those are
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. I'll start with the first question. How do you become a better writer? Become a better writer by writing. That's just it. Right? If you have the flair for writing, then you just keep writing. Over time, you would improve. I would also say you read books. If you want to be a good writer, you have to read books, right? You always need a reference point. You have to see how others write. Not necessarily because you want to copy their writing style, but like the more you're exposed to books, the more you're exposed to people's writing, you begin to develop your own style, right? And you become a better writer because now you're exposed to things that teach you. So you're being taught by other people's writing. You continue to write. You continue attend seminars. Maybe if you need to attend seminars that teach you like basics of writing, how to use language, how to use all of that. Right? There are teachings and classes on that. But it's more like you don't just give up on writing, right? If you have a flair for writing, just keep writing, keep reading books, keep writing, attend classes if you need be. It's not going to happen overnight. I've been writing for like 20 years. So I try to give perspective to everything, right? So if today I'm writing books, it started from high school, like I said, and that's like a 20-year journey. But you just keep writing, over time you will become a better writer. Um, how to encourage people who have gone through life's experiences, but they don't read books. You encourage them by the knowledge that you have, right? I started not by necessarily writing books. I said at the beginning that when I met people who were going through the challenges I'm facing or that I faced, I was able to encourage them by word of mouth. I saw that they felt relieved by my words, and then I was like, okay, I need to reach a bigger audience through this writing. Of course, it's good for people to be able to read books. There's a lot of wealth of experience in books. But if there's someone who, for some reason, even though that is a limiting mindset for you not to read books, but if there's someone who, for some reason, don't read books, then your words, your lifestyle can be that encouragement to them. So the knowledge you begin to tell them through what post on social media. A lot of people don't read books, but they spend hours on social media. So post on social media, somehow they're going to see those things, and let your life be also that encouragement.
Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing that and for answering those questions. I'm sure that to those who asked that question or the two questions, your questions have been answered very well. Thank you for that. So, I mean, we have a number of people who have been very active in the comments and being a part of this conversation. So I don't know if the author has anything. Think, just something. Maybe you have a
If
gift
what?
for them.
If I
I
have a gift,
said,
yeah,
I'm thinking, like, if you have a gift for them, they've been very active in this conversation. I mean, the two people who just asked question, and then there's Debbie who initially told us that the collection of poem has 5 chapters. She remembered what I said. Yes.
yeah, yeah, we could take note of them, and then after the live section, send them a free electronic copy
Oh,
of the book.
nice.
Yeah.
Interesting. Thank you so much for being so generous, and congratulations to all of you. I mean, you should come give me, it's a book. After reading, you should just come tell me what your, experience was, because I mean, I pushed for this for you. But that's by the way. So let's
Yeah.
just continue. I have a few more questions for you, the author. And, I'd like you to also say some things and the guest just before we call it, a very good chat. And if you still have questions that's to do with the part of this, please feel free to ask your question, or you have a comment as well. Please feel free to drop that. So my question is going to be, or what do pretend that readers, take away from your collection, and how can it impact their lives? That's one. And also, um, come up with the title Whispers of Love. Earlier you said that, oh, okay, that's the last thing that you do, right? Okay, so how did you come up with the title Whispers of Love, and what does it signify? Yeah, thank you.
All right. Thank you for the questions. To start with the first question, I would want that when every reader picks the book, when you read chapter one, that you are able to identify with the situation. And if you're currently going through rejection and pain and challenges or any kind of disappointment, that you're able to find hope. You're able to find the courage to continue to push on. You're able to find hope in the fact that the tomorrow is going to be better than what today looks like. So I want every reader who picks the book to see that glimmer of hope, draw strength from the words. The words that are written are not just fables. They were written from a place of experience. They were written from a place of emotion, and also from a place of love to whoever is written, to whoever is reading it. So I hope that when people read chapter one of the book, they can actually find the encouragement and hope that it was intended to be. I hope that when they read chapter two, that they would also, and this is again not a part of me that people know, but I think it's something I also want to push, that when they read chapter two and read the beautiful romantic poems there, that they will be encouraged to put in effort towards their romantic relationship, whatever it is, either it's a relationship or it's marriage, that they are encouraged to actually put in work. Unfortunately, there are a lot of like relationships that are hurting, there are a lot of marriages that are failing, and I just wonder when people read those words that if you can read that Joseph, some people term as just overly serious, is able to be that emotional to write romance poems that you probably put in work towards your significant other in your romantic relationship. Also, there is a chapter that talks about politics. And the way I wrote it is that I want that when people read it, especially like young people, right, we are usually um, not happy with the political state. But the way I wrote it is that we can make change through love and not by rebellion. Unfortunately, when young people want to make change politically, it's usually by rebellion and all of that. But I'm just hoping that when you read that, you can see how that love can reign in government and make things better. If the government is already bad, two wrongs cannot make it bad. You cannot keep rebelling. That's not going to solve the problem, right? And then in chapter 4 talks about faith in God, that when people read that, they will be inspired to put in effort also in their love life with God in this case now. Like in effort to know God the more, experience Him, receive His love, and just grow in their faith. And that finally, when you read chapter 5 that talks about nature, that you would appreciate nature much more. We don't really appreciate nature for what it is. That you get to interact with nature and appreciate its beauty and see that when this world is actually a beautiful place and we can find solace not just in humans, of course humans, but also even in our environment, nature surrounding us. So that's what I hope every reader takes from the book. I also hope that because for me, I've been able to move from writing inspirational books to writing poems. And so I'm hoping that when people read this, they are also able to explore their creativity, I would say, right? I mean, I understand it's good to create a niche for yourself, but I also think it's also good to explore your creativity. Why I'd created a niche for myself in like writing inspirational books, I also wanted to explore my creativity, and that's why I started a poem collection. So I'm hoping that people will be encouraged to um, explore their creativity, whatever gift or talent it is that you have. Don't just do it as a pastime. Use it now as an agent of change. Use it as a way to empower humanity. Use it as a way to be a blessing to someone, right? Just use your creative gifts to bless humanity. So that's what I hope, or those are the things I hope people will take from this book when they read the book. And then to the question on how I came about the title Whispers of Love. Yeah, like you rightly said,
Yes.
that was the last thing I that was the last title. Actually, I had a couple of titles that were going through my head for the poem collection, but I eventually settled for Whispers of Love, and this is the inspiration behind that. So, chapter one talks about encouragement, and I see that I'm encouraging people from a place of love because I want them to. I've gone through pains and I'm on the other side of pain. And from a loving and compassionate heart, I want the same experience for them, right? And then I'm talking about romantic love in chapter two. In chapter three, I'm talking about engaging in politics from a place of love, right? In chapter four, I'm talking about loving God more. In chapter five, I'm talking about loving nature. And I just saw that in all of these, actually, there's a central theme of love, right? And so that's why I tried to make the book love. And so when I said whispers of love, I hope that as you read the book, there is love being expressed to your heart, and that love is also met with a strong emotional response because love always calls for emotional response. That when you read the book, it whispers love to you, even if it's gentle whispers, but it breeds a strong emotional response to begin to then practice the things that are written in the book, to begin to see hope for your life, to begin to work towards your romantic relationship, to begin to grow in your love for God. Just that you would pick up the book and not just read it as light, but it will stir up something in your emotion and cause a strong emotional response. I think I answered the two questions.
Yes, you did. Thank you very much for answering the questions and also answering them very well. Thank you very much. And to everyone who has been part of this conversation, thank you for being a part of this. Thank you. I see your comments and thank you for engaging and for ensuring that this is also the comments are just telling us that, oh yes, you're following, you're being this conversation. Just in case you're on this, call or you've been part of this conversation and you remember to drop a comment, right? And you'd like to get something from the author. What about you after this, life? You write, something that you learned from this whole session, something that you picked, and tag the author. If maybe, I don't know, maybe from that you would also get, a copy of the book. I don't know, or the author is going to confirm that. But just do well to, share about the things that you picked from this live session. What is that thing? I see a lot of comments, comment section. Oh, there are things that one person or the other. And also tag the author or mention the author when you do this post on your Instagram story. And I'm sure, or I don't know, again, let me not be too sure, that there will definitely be something for you. Yes, just before we go to our guest, I'd just like to know what your final thoughts overall on this collection of art book.
All right. Thank you for having me so far. My overall thoughts on this book is that every reader, I encourage you to read with an open mind, be very open-minded as you read. And as you read, I would love for you to accept your reality, embrace your reality with love. And then the author in the book has showed us how much troubles he has gone through, right? And how he has been able to overcome to this point. So even as you read, see, I'm reminded that there's a way out. There's always a way out. Embrace yourself, accept yourself, and love your neighbor. And just like have learned to accept my reality and then thinking of a way to make things better as I move closer to God, love my neighbor, embrace nature, and just live life to the fullest.
Thank you so much for sharing that. And to the author, but just before, thank you very much. Just before the author, says something, and before we just end this conversation, I'd like to read, from the connection poem. And the one that I would like to take is "Today is not my destination." Okay. So how can we rise if we never fail? How can our seeds grow into a tree if they were never watered by our tears? How can we soar like an eagle if there's no sun to ride upon? Every teacher was once a pupil. Every master was once an apprentice. Every leader was once a follower. Today is not my destination. Tomorrow has better prospect. I like to end this conversation on this note. The number of the poems that I like, but this speaks to me, and I find myself going back to this several times, even when I get away from it. Today is my destination. And it just, resonates with me a lot, and it's powerful. It's powerful to me. So I'll take you, finally, if you have anything to say, just goodbye.
Yeah, that was a very nice one where today is not my destination. Yeah, really liked that one too. So in conclusion, I just want to appreciate Shay for being such a good moderator. I want to appreciate the guests also to me and everyone who joined this live section. I hope you got something um from this. I hope you got inspired to keep pushing. I hope you learned a lesson. I hope you got a message. And this is also to tell you that there is more. I mean, the collection is about 32 poems. We read just two or three. There is still a depth of knowledge that you can get from the poem. So you do good to actually get a copy for yourself of the poem. So you can get a copy for like people in Nigeria. Actually, I think the easiest way is to get a copy on Seller, Selar. So just go on there, search for the book Whispers of Love by Joseph Adewuyi. You can get it for a token. And then for those like maybe outside of Nigeria, you can easily get it on Amazon. Just again search for the title Whispers of Love by Joseph Adewuyi. It's there on Amazon, both as an e-copy and as a paperback. But the one on Seller is just e-copy. And I guarantee you, as you read the book, you'll definitely be blessed. There are deep words of healing, words of encouragement, words of hope, words that will stir up that passion for you to keep pursuing after destiny and pursuing after purpose and pursuing after life. So you really will do yourself a lot of good by getting a copy of this book and just read it. It's not about me. Remember, it's just my purpose is to mentor, my purpose is to inspire, my purpose is to create a reason for you to live, a reason for hope, and you would learn a lot beyond what I say when you read the book. So yeah, thank you for everyone. Thank you to everyone for joining the section.
All right, thank you so much, and thank you to you also for being so selfless and for living a life of impact. It takes a lot to be able to do the things that you do. Thank you very much for that and for, I mean, writing all of these books and sharing your gifts with the world. Thank you so much, Itunu, for being such an amazing guest and for sharing all that you read from this collection and I mean your thought process and all of that. I mean, it was really good having you being part of this conversation. Thank you very much. And to everyone who has been part of this conversation from the very beginning till now, we do dropped off at some point or the other, we appreciate your being a this and for joining the conversation. And yes, I took note of the people who asked questions and the person who answered the question as well. I'm sure that the author will reach out to you. And don't forget, if you have been part of this and you didn't drop any comment, you can just still go on your Instagram story and drop something that you picked from this live session and mention or tag the author. Yes, I'm sure that you would see that. Thank you so much for being a part of this. So we're like 8 minutes, you know, or 9 minutes later than the minutes that we used to spend here. So we really have to go now. Thank you so much, everyone. Like I always do, I mostly forget to mention my name at the beginning of the chat, and I remember towards the end. Sometimes I don't know why. But I'm learning to these days. My name is Sheikh Balaji, and it's been nice doing this with you. Thank you so much, everyone, and goodbye for now. We'll see you again. But please get a copy of this book, read, share with others, and tag the author on what you've learned from this. And not just Whispers of Love, but other books that the author has written. Thank you so much, everyone, and goodbye.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you
Thank
for
you.
your time.
Bye. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah.